Welcome to J Media. We make tutorials, guides and tech videos. Please like, subscribe and follow for more.
Okay, welcome to this video today. And what we'll be doing today, we'll be looking at creating a simple digital illustration, a still life illustration using Coreldraw. I'll be using Corel 2019. So let's move to my screen. Okay, so this is my Coreldraw. I've already pulled it up. Okay, let me just minimize this, move it somewhere else. Okay, so in Coreldraw, if you've not used Coreldraw before, Coreldraw is a vector illustration application. Several people use it for graphic design as well as illustration. So this is just a very basic class. So let's go to new. Let me use A4. So right here where you have paper size, you can set size A4, A3. Okay, I'll use A3. Yes, let me use A3. Then I'll leave my color at RGB. And then resolution 300 dpi. So right here, I can put a file name. So after putting the file name, I just select OK. Right now my page is in portrait mode. I could click here to toggle between portrait and landscape. Okay, so let's go with portrait. Okay, so for most of what we'll be doing, there are some basic tools I usually like to use in Coreldraw. For me, I will usually work with the pen tool. Yes, it's under these drawing tools here. So every drawing tool here is used to make marks. You have your 2-point line tool. You can just click and drag to create a line. Every single one of them does that. Even your pen tool, you can click to also make a line. Then up here, you can always adjust the thickness of the line. You can even change the line type to make it dotted or not. This is for the end of the line, so you can make it an arrow at the beginning or at the end. So it all comes down to what you want to do. So there are lines and then there are shapes. Now let's pick up a shape. This is a rectangle shape. If I draw the shape on the page, right now the page, the shape has a line around it, and so you can fill it with a color as well as have the outside. So just like we could do with a normal line. So this is where you have the line type. You can make it dotted, normal. Then you can change the line thickness. Yeah, so now you can click on any of these colors to fill this shape with it. Okay, you can click on any of these colors here to fill this shape with it. Now, when you fill a shape, you have other properties here. Depending on how your Coreldraw is set up, you may not have this tab. So I think you go under your window dockers, yes, then you tick these properties here. Once you do that, you'll see this. I prefer using this. It tells me I have more control. So right here, these are the line controls. So you can change your line color from here. You see it's updating right there. Here is the fill. So the color that is filling the shape. Now if you want to have more organic control over your colors, just click on this. So now you could mix your color the way you want. Here is a fountain fill. Fountain fill, you can use it to mix more than one color on a shape. So I could just click on this color here, click on the green, and then let me move towards a warm tone. Okay, something like that. Then here where you have your next color, you can click there to pick another color. You can double click anywhere on the line to create a new point and then add a new color to that point. So something like this. So now I have a gradient fill on the shape. Okay, let me delete this first line. Let's just work with this. So after this, you have your vector pattern fill. Basically, it fills the shape with a default vector pattern. Yeah, some patterns are already come with it. Then you have a bitmap pattern. A bitmap pattern is like an image that you could use to fill up the shape. Now, there are better ways to fill your shape with bitmaps, like things like images, and there are so many ways to do it. So let me just go over one of the ways. I could just right click here and import an image. Okay, okay, this is one of my works. Let me import this. Okay, so let's say I want to use this image to fill this shape. I just right click on the image. I right click on the image, then go to Power Clip Inside. When I click on Power Clip Inside, my mouse pointer turns to an arrow. So whichever shape I click on, the image is going to fill that shape. I'll just click here. So you can even go to Edit to adjust how the image looks inside the shape. So once I'm done, I click Finish. So anywhere I move this now, this shape is filled with the image. Okay, so that's about filling the shape. Now let's create another. Let me just fill this with a red. If I don't want my shape to have an outline, I just go to the transparent color and right click there. So now I've gotten rid of the black outline that this shape had. Zooming in and zooming out is just scrolling up on your mouse wheel and scrolling out. Okay, so the next thing now, let's look at transparency. If you look down here, you have a transparency tool. If I click on this transparency tool, I can adjust how transparent this shape is. So for instance, let's say I have this shape and I want to create another shape on top of it and make it look like it's a shadow. I can just fill this shape with black. After filling with black, I now go to transparency and then adjust the transparency of that. So it takes on the original color of the shape while maintaining its own color, so you can see through it. That's what transparency does. So let's just quickly see a few. So let me look at vector. Let's look at some vector illustration. Okay, something like this. So creating something like this is quite easy in Coreldraw. Using the pen tool, you just click till you've formed your shapes. So just like when I showed you that you could fill a shape with a color, then draw another shape over it, fill with a darker tone and work on transparency. That may have been how this artist got to create his own shadows. There are several ways to go about it. And so it all depends on which style you want to work with. So let me show you how I do that with the pen tool. Okay, so let me just draw a bottle. So before I do that, let me look for an actual image of a bottle. So let's pick this this Sprite bottle. Let me save the image. Let me save it on my downloads. And in Coreldraw, let me import that image. Import. Go to my downloads, click on import. And it changes the pointer to an inverted L shape. So once you click and drag, it will drop that shape. So you could adjust it to whatever size you want. The reason why I'm doing this is because when working with illustrations, especially as a beginning illustrator, it's always good to have a reference. Working with references are really good and helpful. You don't have to necessarily copy your reference, but having a reference to influence what you are working on helps at times. So I have the bottle shape beside here. So let me go with the pen tool and start creating. So I'll just do a very rough, rushed shape. So the way the pen tool works, when you click on a point, it draws something like a rubber band. Till you click at another point, it draws another rubber band. If I double click now, it leaves it as a line. But I did undo. But if I click and come back to the first point and click, now I have a shape. I can fill this shape with color. Okay, let's delete that. Now to create curves with the pen tool, you just click on a point, click on the other point, then hold your mouse. Don't remove your hand from your mouse, then drag. Now we have a curve. Once we have a curve, whichever place you want to click on again, it's going to curve from the previous point. So you see now, anywhere I move my mouse pointer to, we have a curve around it. Now let me click here. Now I can click with a straight point here. And now we have a shape I could now fill it with a color. So you see what it looks like. Okay, so back to this illustration I want to create. So let me try to recreate the bottle top in the way I think. So you could always draw at whatever size you want, then resize it later on. So I've drawn the first shape. I could go to my fill tool. Just make sure I click on solid fill, then let me look for a shade of green that is a bit close to what they have. Okay, so let me get rid of the outline. I just go to empty and right click. It's either I right click there or I just come here, this place where you have the line width, just select none. Okay, so I have the cover for my bottle. Let me resize it down a bit. And let me keep it at one side. Now with the pen tool, let me now go over. Okay, let me just show you a simple way to do this. A simpler way to go about this is to trace over. When you are going for exact resemblance, you can trace over the shape. So now I've brought this bottle here. Let me pick my pen tool now and trace over the bottle. Let me zoom in a bit. So remember, zooming in is just scrolling up on your mouse wheel. Let's scroll down a bit. I can zoom into that part if I want to see it more clearly. And if you click on this shape tool here, you can move points after you've drawn them. Okay, so I'm done with this. Let me shift the reference out. This is the shape. Now, when you are working with colors in Coreldraw, it remembers the colors you've clicked on. Instead of going back here to mix the color, I could just come here and pick that color. So what I will do is that, okay, let me get rid of the outline. Oh, no, Ctrl Z. Let me right click on the outline. Then the top, let me resize it to match the current size we have. Okay, let me just fill it with another color so that you see what happens. Now, because I drew it before drawing the bottle, you see it goes behind. So I can right click on this shape and go to order. Where is order? Yes, order, and then select front of page. So now we have the bottle top in front of the bottle. Okay, so once I am done with that, the next thing now is for me to begin to work on my light and shade. So I can click on all of this and group it so that they all move together. The reason why I grouped it is that for me, this is like my base color. I can now come in and start drawing in more detail. So let me open them side by side and begin working. So right now we seem to have like a light tone that runs from the top down. So let's try to create that. If you notice, I am stylizing. I'm already beginning to stylize the shape. It's a little bit different from what we have on the bottle. So I'm going for more hard edge straight lines. So I just drew a shape filled with white. Now I'll work on the transparency. Turn it down a bit. So I'm just trying to recreate that shiny look. Okay, so let me go back in. Let me scroll down a bit. Okay, so I'll just fill with white, get rid of the outline, and go to transparency and drop it down. Okay. And something I can do is to power clip this. Remember how we power clipped an image inside the shape? So let me power clip this. Right click, power clip inside, and power clip it to this shape. Okay, let's instead just group. So these two shapes now, hold shift, click on the second one and group it so that this moves together. Okay, now let me reduce the influence of the bottle, of the original bottle. Let me now draw in my own. Okay, so I want to fill with black and then start working on shadows. Okay, I have my first shadow. Now it may not be as realistic as the shadow that is on the bottle. Let me just try to follow the edge of this. Okay, so once I'm done like that, it seems like the shape didn't close properly. So I'll click on this too. So let's now fill with black. And go to transparency and reduce it. After doing this, I could still use my keyboard to shift out the shadow a bit. And instead of drawing everything by hand, I can duplicate, Ctrl D to duplicate, and then flip it horizontally. So I'll just go to where the number is and press the minus and enter. So I've gotten an inverted version of that shape. For this, I could touch the transparency a lot more. Okay, so let me get rid of the bottle now, the main bottle. Let me group everything I have here. I can do something like this. Okay, let me so I'm just trying to create something for the background. Okay, so let me just find a color. Okay, let me get rid of the outline. Let me use order to move it to behind. Okay, let me go to back of page. Okay, or back of layer. Okay. Same with this. Let me pick another color too. Okay, let's get rid of the outline and order the back of layer. Okay, so let me shift it up so that there's no line there. Okay, so right now, let's go in and, okay, let me give the bottle a shadow. Let me just draw a random shape. Let me bring out the shadow from here, yes. Let me go with black. Ideally, you shouldn't do your shadows with black, but for now, that's what it seems like the quickest thing to do now. So after getting the shadow, I'll right click on this shape, order, and move it behind, then go behind, then click on the shape I want to move it behind this. Okay. So now the bottle also, let's give it a little transparency. Okay, it's not working the way I thought. So I think first let's ungroup and group everything, ungroup all. Then select it all and give it okay, I think this works. Just that I need to now go in like this shape now. Let's give it a lot more transparency. Same with this one, okay. Let's make it very, very much more transparent. This shape too. Let's make it a lot more transparent, so that we can actually see the background through it. Remember, bottles are glass and they are see-through. Now, if you are doing a still life composition, or you are doing a shape that is different from something like this, you don't need to do all this transparency, this thing that I'm working on. So I'm just trying to add maybe 1 or 2 more layers of brightness. Okay, let me do the same thing down here too. Let's fill, get rid of the outline, then drop it down. Okay, so I think I'm close to finishing this. Now this this back outline, let me see if there's any of the vector shapes that I could fill that with. Okay, no, that's bitmap. Let's see vector. I just want you to see how using transparency in Coreldraw affects. Okay, I don't like any of this. So let me just go with a fountain fill. Let's go from a light to a dark color. Let's give it some saturation. Okay, same with this one too. Okay, now let's invert the colors. You can use the color picker to steal a color from somewhere. And this one, let's go light. The reason why I'm doing this is that we have our shadow falling down this way, so which means light is coming from here. So you need to also take note of that. Okay, this one too. Let me do that. So let's have this color as our lightest tone, and on this side, let's just go. I like to saturate the color just a little bit. Okay. So with this, we already have the illustration for the final piece. So let me just show you what it looks like finally. Now this is what it looks like. If there was need to add any text, you could now add your text. And you just go to your file and save. And if you want to get it out as a JPEG image, you use export. So let me export it to my desktop. Let me use illustration 2, then export. You leave every other setting the same way, then okay. So let me get to my desktop and fetch it. Okay. So this is the final image. Let's make it full screen. So that is how to use the simple drawing tools in Coreldraw to create illustrations. This example is not really the best example out there, but it's just to get you to understand the tools. So I'll see you in the next video.